Hello guys, welcome back to our channel Apna Tutors. So this is the last video for the exercise 1.2. In this exercise, we had learnt many things about bijective functions. We had studied various functions and their bijective property. So let's do the last some questions remaining of this exercise. So 10th question is, let a equals to r minus 3, that is and b equals to r minus 1, and consider the function f from a to b, that is domain is a, which does not involve 3 point singleton 3 except that whole real line is involved, and codomain is b where 1 is not involved and whole r is involved other than that, and function is defined by x minus 2 upon x minus 3. Is f11, and on to justify your answer. I think you got it right. Why 3 is not involved? Because if 3 would had involved, then this function would have not been well defined, because denominator we would have got 0, which would told us that the function is not well defined at 3, right? So 3 is not involved in domain. And talking about this, why 1 is not involved in codomain, you will get it in some while. Okay, so let's start. We need to check whether it is 1 1 and on to. Okay, so let's see first whether it is 1 1 and on to or not. So sorry, let's first check whether it is 1 1 or not. So let x1 x2 belongs to r minus 3, and take such that f of x1, this sign is for such that, okay, f of x1 equals to f of x2. What does this mean? This, why we are taking like this? Because we need to, this is the method to find whether function is 1 1 or not. We take f of x1 equals to f of x2, and then we see that whether x1 is equals to x2 or not. So let f, and why we take in this way, that f of x, we go in this way. You should go back to our introduction video where we had given information why this method works, that why by this method we get that whether function is 1 1 or not. You should once watch that. You will surely get some more concept related to 1 1 there. Okay, so f of x1 equals to f of x2, which shows that f of x1 is x1 minus 2 upon x1 minus 3. This is well defined because x1 and x2 are not equals to 3. Okay, x2 minus 2 upon x2 minus 3. Let's just simplify it little bit. So by this we'll get x1 x2 minus 2x2 minus 3x1 plus 6 equals to x1 x2 minus 2x1 minus 3x2 and minus plus 6, which will give 2x1 2x2 plus 3x2, 3x2 minus 2x2, that is x2, equals to minus 2x1 plus 3x1, that is x1. So we got what we wanted, that is x1 equals to x2. We had taken f of x1 equals to f of x2, and we got x1 equals to x2, which shows that our function is 1 1. So are we done? Yes, we had shown that our function is 1 1. So now let's move to on to part, whether it is on to or not. So again, for on to, what you need to see, you have to take some arbitrary point from codomain, and you need to find whether you are getting some x whose that is arbitrary point. Suppose you are taking arbitrary point as y from the codomain, you need to find some x from the domain such that f of x equals to y. So let's see whether we are able to find such point or not. So let y belongs to codomain, that is r minus 1. Now we will get the reason why 1 is not involved. Okay, such that we are taking arbitrary point from codomain. Okay, and suppose there exists x belongs to r minus 3, such that f of x equals to y. What does this mean? What will be f of x? It will be x minus 2 upon x minus 3, and we want this to be equals to y. We need to find such x. Okay, so x minus 2 equals to xy minus 3x. As we want to xy minus 3y. As we want to find x, we will take x on one side. So it will be x into 1 minus y equals to 2 minus 3y. I think now you are able to see the reason why 1 is not involved in the codomain. So as y is not equals to 1, you can divide both sides by 1 minus y. So we got our x which we wanted, 2 minus 3y upon 1 minus y. Now I am giving you one task. You should verify that this, when you find f of x with this x, you will get it to be same as y. What you will get, let me give some intuitive idea, then you do remaining simplifications. So what will be f of x? F of x, you have to show that. So f of x will be 2 minus 3y, 1 minus y minus 2 upon 2 minus 3y, 1 minus y minus 3. You should verify this. This will be r y. Then you will be done, right? Then you got some x for which our f of x is y, which implies that our function is on 2, because we had taken some arbitrary point from the codomain and we got some point from the domain whose this is our point from the domain whose image is a required point from the codomain. So we are done with 10th question. Let's move to next question. So next question is question 11, that is MCQ. Let f from R to RB defined as f of x equals to x raised to 4. Choose the correct answer, that is f is 1 1 on 2 or not. So let's see. As you know, we had did some question like this where function was defined as x square, that is it x square, and here it is x raised to 4. By this I am what trying to say is it always give function like this, that is even functions, that are not called even functions exactly. Even function have some different definition. I mean that will give only positive elements, that is whatever point you take from the domain, its image will be always positive, right? So this type of functions are not onto. Why? Because whenever you take negative point from the codomain, suppose you take minus 1 belongs to R, then you will not find any x such that f of x equals to minus 1, because f of x will always be greater than or equals to 0, but this minus 1 is less than 0. So you got it right, that it will be not onto. Now what about 1 1? 1 1, for to show 1 1 we should have that for whatever f of x1 and f of x2 you take, you should get x1 to be equals to x2. But I can see that if I take x equals to minus 1, x1 equals to minus 1 and x2 equals to 1, then my f of x1 will be 1 and also f of x2 will be 1. But my x1 is not equals to x2. This shows that it is not 1 1. Not 1 1. So our function is neither 1 1 nor onto, that is option D is the correct one. Okay, let's move to next question. Next question is very easy. Our function is defined as f of x equals to 3x. We again need to check whether it is 1 1 and onto. So let's first check it is 1 1 or not. So what we do, I will do directly. Okay, now this is MCQ, you can do directly. That is, take 2 points such that function value is same, that is 3x1 equals to 3x2. And you need to check whether we are getting x1 equals to x2 or not. So surely you can divide both sides by 3. So you will get x1 equals to x2, which will show that our function is 1 1. 1 1 was easy. 1 1 was easy. Now take let y belongs to codomain, that is R, and you need to find some x such that f of x equals to y, which will implies 3x equals to y. So you should take x equals to y by 3. So suppose I am taking x equals to y by 3, then what will be my f of x? It will be y by 3 into y. Sorry, y by 3 into 3. So it will be y. So for whatever y I am taking from the codomain, I am able to find some x from the domain whose image is that y. So we got that our function is on 2. So f is 1 1 also and f is on 2 also. That is option A is the correct one. So we are done with exercise of this question, right? So we in this exercise we did properties questions related to property 1 1 on 2 and bijective function. So I think you can expect some question related to bijective function in your exams. Surely you should get one question, whether it is in small 1 1 to 2 marks or whether it is some complicated function is given to verify you in the 1 1 and that is bijective or not. You should be careful that whenever they are saying check whether it is bijective or not, you should not directly go for proving that it is bijective. First you should get some intuitive idea that why it will be 1 1 and on 2. I had tried to explain you like this in every question that I have tried to explain what the what intuition am I getting by which I am saying that it will be 1 1 or it will not be 1 1, it will be on 2 or it will not be on 2. So you should get some intuition, and I had shown you how to think for that. Like many questions we did why it will be on 2. So we had went to reverse direction, assuming that suppose we are getting some element. So assuming that we can find some element for which that image we are getting. Similarly for 1 1 you should do like that. For suppose 1 1 you need to show that it is not 1 1. Then you should take some in one question we did like that. We taken that x1 is not equals to x2, but you take f of x1 equals to x2. Then you will be able to find such x1 x2. So you should go like that. Okay, so I think this much is enough for today. From the next video we are going to start with a new exercise. So let's meet in next video with very high energy. So till that, keep practicing hard, work hard. Thank you so much. Keep watching our channel Apna Tutors and please subscribe it.